So you're new to Genshin, you do a 10 pull on the current banner, and you get the newest 5-star Cloud Retainer. Now, what do you get with Cloud Retainer besides another crazy bird lady in Genshin? Well, Cloud Retainer is a catalyst-wielding Anemo user who can enable any character to do plunging attacks. I'm Kessie, Mango, whatever the hell you want to call me. And because not everybody's AR60 with 36-heart Abyss, I decided that I was going to make videos that hopefully anybody can understand. So if you do learn something from this video, do be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Discord link down below as well. Join the community, ask for help, get people to play with, whatever it is you want, just hang out. And let's get into this video on Cloud Retainer. All right, so we are on my EU account today. We actually worked on Cloud Retainer some yesterday on stream. Do be sure to stop by and watch the streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays on TikTok and YouTube. So just like we do in every video, we're going to look at the build of the current character that we're using in the guide. One, so in case you're not hitting the same numbers by doing the steps that we're going to talk about, it might just be a difference in level or different weapon, things like that. Or two, it can be a look usually at a later build. This is not going to be a look at a later build though. So for weapon, I just have Lost Prayer of the Sacred Winds. I got this while trying to pull for her signature, and I have it on her because I got it while trying to pull for her signature. I'm still trying to get her signature on this account. For artifacts, I am actually using the artifacts in this video, which is going to be a 4-piece exile set. She is C0 and none of her talents are leveled up, so this is going to be a phenomenal look at the damage and how to use her early game, because this is very much an early game build. Now, first we are going to talk about her normal attacks, her skill, and her burst. So her normal attacks are kind of normal for a catalyst user, where she just does like an Anemo hit. There is no normal physical damage with her. You're always going to be doing Anemo damage with her normal attacks, but her charged attack will actually send it through the enemy and hit any behind them, but there is no pushback, so it's not quite like Sucrose's. So her skill is going to have like 3 or 4 variations. So whenever you use her skill, she is going to jump forward, dealing Anemo damage to any enemy in her path. If you hit her skill 2 times in a row, she is going to jump twice. If you hit it 3 times, then she is going to, you guessed it, jump 3 times. Now, if at any point after you do the 1, 2, or 3 jumps, you do a normal attack, Cloud Retainer will do a plunging attack that does Anemo AoE damage. The higher you go, or the more times you jump, the more damage that you do, maxing out on the 3rd one. And the 3rd one has a really, really cool animation. It's so good. Now, she does have a passive where any enemy hit with her skill up to a maximum of 4 will give an increased crit rate on plunging attacks for like 20 seconds. So if you use her skill before you go into her burst, then whenever you swap to whatever character you're doing the plunging attacks with, they're going to get an increased crit rate. So now we're going to look at her burst, and her burst is going to do several different things. So her burst is going to do an initial AoE Anemo attack, as well as do an initial team-wide healing. Now, what else it does is it puts this little mechanical crane, probably modeled after herself, with whatever character you have on the field. When you jump, this crane allows you to jump extra high, enabling any character that's on the field to do a plunging attack. Now you see how that passive that we talked about a second ago comes into play, because the crit rate of these plunges will be increased. Now, this will also heal your team over time. Now, the healing is based on Cloud Retainer's attack. So if you get her A4 passive, then whenever you do the plunging attack, you will be giving a damage bonus to the shockwave of the plunge attack based on Cloud Retainer's attack. So you want to get attack percent up as high as you can. I'm going to say that a couple times in this video. So now we're going to talk about artifacts. And for a beginner artifact set, doing a 4-piece exile is going to be your best set. Not only does it get up her own energy recharge with the 2-piece set, but the 4-piece set also builds energy recharge for the other characters in your party. And because her utility really comes from her burst, you want to be using her burst as much as possible, which is why the energy recharge really helps. Now, as far as main stats for this version of Cloud Retainer, where you're really going to be doing her burst the most, and you're not really caring how much damage she does herself, and you want the most from her burst and the most from her healing, then you're going to want to run as much attack percent as you can. So like on Sands, you can do attack percent. On Goblet, you want to do attack percent. And then on Circlet, you can either do healing bonus or, again, attack percent. Now, If you are noticing that you are not using her burst as much as you want, on Sans, do an energy recharge, or you have the option of doing an energy recharge weapon, which we'll talk about that in a second. So if you wanted to do a more damage build Cloud Retainer instead of the support healing, then you can change up her artifact main stats a little bit. I would still do 4-piece exile set, so that way she is still using her burst a lot, and she is still allowing other characters to use her burst, but I would change the main stats around on the artifacts. So for Sans, I would keep with attack percent or energy recharge, depending on how often you want to use her burst. For Goblet, I would change over to an Animo damage Goblet because you want her to be doing more damage with her Animo. And then for Circlet, changing over to either a crit rate or a crit damage Circlet is going to be better. Again, this is damage Cloud Retainer, where you're not necessarily worried about the reactions. This is just trying to make her do as much personal damage as you want. Now, if you are trying to do swirl damage, which would be a very interesting idea, but you could definitely do it, then running, again, Exile if you can, to allow her to use her burst, again, as much as possible, but you want to build some elemental mastery on her. I've never seen somebody do this build. I don't necessarily recommend this build, but you can do it. I don't recommend it though. So, but you would just run elemental mastery on all the pieces that you would have on her. So that way you could just get as much damage out of the swirl reaction as possible. Again, I don't recommend that. I've never seen somebody do that, but you can do it. It would just be really weird. If somebody does try that, please let me know. I'd love to see it. So now we're going to talk about weapon. Now, for a weapon, if you have something with attack percent, throw it on her. That might mean that you do an energy recharge Sans on the artifacts to be able to use her burst more, but attack percent weapon can be very, very good because, as we've talked about, her entire thing scales off of attack, her healing and her buff. So if you do not have an attack percent weapon, there is a 3-star weapon called the Otherworldly Story that gets up energy recharge. This would help her use her burst more if you wanted to do an attack percent Sans. So this is one of those things where if you have an attack weapon, I would probably do the attack weapon. If you don't, I would see if you have an energy recharge weapon. If you do, then I would use that. If not, there is the final option, which would be Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer, which is always a fantastic option for any support catalyst because of its passive. I would R5 it if you can, but if not, the R1 passive is still really, really good, especially early level in the game. So now we're going to talk about a beginner-friendly party. This is assuming that you have no other characters besides Cloud Retainer and the characters that the game gives you. You did one single pull on the current banner, and you got Cloud Retainer, no other characters. That is how these parties are designed to work. So with that being said, obviously you would have Cloud Retainer. Then I would put somebody like Noelle in there to be your kind of main damage dealer on field. Then maybe like Xianyun and Kaya. Now, Noelle you get for free on the special Beginner Wish banner. You're guaranteed to get Noelle. Xianyun you get for clearing floor 3 of the Abyss. And Kaya you get for free if you play the game longer than like 20 minutes. So with this party, the way that this party is going to work is that you are going to be mainly using Noelle to do the plunging damage. And you're going to have Xianyun and Kaya both doing off-field damage with Cloud Retainer kind of swirling some of the elements around. It also causes that AoE animo attack when the plunging character hits. So what we are going to be doing is that we are going to be using Cloud Retainer to generate energy for everybody else with her skill, because you can see her skill produces a lot of particles. Noelle we're going to use to keep shields up. Xianyun we're going to be dropping Guoba that he can produce energy particles, and Kaya can produce his own with his skill. Once we have everybody's bursts ready to go, we're going to drop like Xianyun's, then we're going to drop Kaya for some melt reactions. Go to Cloud Retainer, get her burst going for the healing to keep the party healthy, but also enabling the plunging damage. Go to Noelle, use her burst, and we're going to be doing plunging attacks with Noelle. Now, we want to use Cloud Retainer's skill as well. I believe I forgot to do that in these rotations, but if we use Cloud Retainer's skill first, then we'll be getting that passive to get increased crit rate on Noelle. So you do want to make sure that you do the skill and then the burst. Once you have everybody's burst going, you're going to be doing your plunge attacks with Noelle. getting a bunch of damage, getting those swirls from the impact on the ground with Cloud Retainer's burst in conjunction with Noelle slamming her Claymore on the ground, with Kaya's burst spinning around, and Xianyun's burst spinning around. So you're going to be having a lot of reactions. You have a lot of chance to pick up shards for shields to keep everybody protected, with Noelle's burst doing healing and Cloud Retainer's burst doing healing. The entire team is just going to stay healthy, and you're going to be getting hit less because of the shields. Now, this Xianyun does not have a 4-piece exile set on her, so it's kind of hard to keep energy on her. But if I had a 4-piece exile set on this Xianyun, this team would be working a lot smoother and a lot better. But that is going to be it for this beginner guide on Cloud Retainer. If you have any questions, you be sure to leave it in the comments. Myself or somebody else will be sure to answer them, and I will see you in the next video, which should be Gaming. I think Gaming is going to be the next video.